Those yellow dots right there, they're telling us that we should expect combined stablecoin dominance to fall a lot more. And if that falls, we should expect Bitcoin to go up a lot more. But what about the macro trend for BTC and also for stablecoin dominance? Does this really mean that we're going to see a longer lasting rally for BTC and alts? And what about that capitulation dump we were supposed to have? We're going to talk about all that here on Coin Bureau Trading. What's up? My name is Aaron Dishner from the Better Traders. You're watching Coin Bureau Trading. Slam the subscribe button, like the video. Let's get into it. Now, combined stablecoin dominance with USDT and USDC, both dominance levels, gives us a percentage right now of 11.201%. The reason why this is such a valuable chart to track and to watch is because when we know that stablecoin dominance is on the up and up, when it's pushing up higher and harder, this is telling us that we should expect more pain and basically dumps and all that fun stuff that we've been experiencing for the last several months. Actually, since back over here, since late January, this big fat uptrend that happened over here coincided with a massive, massive dump for BTC right here. So yes, stablecoin dominance is an extremely important chart to watch. Now, what's up with these yellow flags right here? We saw the same thing happen back over here in late December, all the way into late November into December. We actually saw stablecoin dominance fall. It fell from about 9.3% down here to about 8%. That little fall was enough to incite a quote-unquote rally for BTC. Now, did it really rally during this time? Not really. It kind of did from December 18th up here to January 14th, up 15%. But we know that so many other coins did really, really well, namely meme coins. If you look at Pepe during that same time, from December 18th all the way up here to January 4th or 5th, up 96%. So, does this mean that this chart, stablecoin dominance, is telling us that we're going to get the same type of rallies? You know what? There's a decent chance that that could happen. But the reality here is not the short term, it's the long term. Okay? It's like the Star Wars Episode 1. There's always a bigger fish. That's exactly the perspective you should be having. Yes, we might see a dip or a drop in here, but the big fish is already swimming and it's going to gobble up any moves that move against the mean. Oh my gosh. So even if we get some sort of a pullback here on stablecoin dominance, which would result in a larger, wider crypto rally that could last for, 1, maybe 2 weeks, ultimately, the trend is going to win in the end. And the trend is still extremely strong bullish for stablecoin dominance. Now, Bitcoin alone has printed some really exciting bullish reversal symbols. As I pointed out here, these are 2 TBT bullish reversals. These are extremely early bullish reversal symbols. We saw 1, 2, 3 of these by the 7th of December, and the third one here marked a cluster. And a cluster tells us that there should be some sort of amazing bullish response, which never really happened the first time. The second time we got it, we did see a good response from the 31st of December. We saw Bitcoin go up from 88K to 98K, up 10%. What gives? Well, the reality is that the slow line, which is the slowest of the 4 moving averages that comprise the TBO indicator, if the slow line is pointing down, we can get like a gajillion of these, and they're not going to be as valid or as strong as they would be if the slow line were flat or ascending. Let me see if I can find a better example over here. So like right here, March 2025, this is after all the tariff FUD that was happening. Remember that? And we saw a lot of these TBT bullish reversions clusters as Bitcoin had already bottomed out at 76K. Then we saw a lot of these print. Now, did the price go up short term? It did, 6%. Did it fall down? Yes, it actually fell another 11%. But these symbols, these signals gave me confidence to buy the dip, which was ultimately the correct move. Why? Well, because the price of BTC went up not just to $100,000 from 83K, it went all the way up to 126K, another 50% higher. The reason why I had confidence to buy the dip during all the tariff FUD is that I knew we were in a top year, and these are bullish reversal symbols that are flashing while the slow line was still pointing up. Now, if we get the inverse, we get these bullish reversal symbols, but an extremely bearish macro trend. Is this going to be making me feel really, really good inside? No. Eventually, these will be right. But honestly, what needs to happen is the slow line needs to flatten out and it needs to be flat or somewhat ascending for these signals to be valid. And you know what? There was a time where that did work. You know when that was? That's right. It's going to be in June 2022. Well, what happened in June 2022? Finally, we saw Bitcoin capitulate, falling from 28K all the way down here to 17K, losing 38% over about 9 days. During this entire time, the slow line still was going down. And we even saw more of these TBT bullish divergences, even back over here. Now, these aren't necessarily wrong symbols. They're just way too early. Now, when they become more valid is when we start to see the slow line flatten out, like we saw back over here by the time we hit November and December. Then these are starting to become more valid. The other symbols that will be much more valid and exciting to me are these orange diamonds right here, TBO closed shorts. We saw our first one, after we printed our open short back on November 2021, we saw 2 TBO closed shorts, which were very convincing in February. And we did see a good reversal, up 30% and rejection. The next closed shorts we saw were in July 2022, and then in September, then October, and then December. They're not going to pop up all over the place. They're only going to pop up when they're letting us know bottom might be in soon. And that's all they're telling us. They're telling us that you might want to consider taking some profits out of your short position because the trend could be changing soon. Could be. Not necessarily is right now. So let's fast forward to where we are. The last close short that we've seen, it was back over here on April 12th, 2025. And I still feel like we are a couple of weeks away from that actually happening. If we go to the weekly time frame, we're starting a new week in the green, which is a very welcome sight, considering the fact that over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, we've seen nothing but red. Knowing that the monthly has looked pitiful, looking at 5 months in a row of red as well. So are we due for a bounce? Yes, we're due for a bounce, but will that bounce change anything in regards to BTC finally bottoming out? No, I don't think so. Not at all. And the reason is easier to understand than you would previously believe. But before I get to that, go to the description down below. Check out the links to sign up for 2Bit, where you can trade and earn up to $15,000 in welcome rewards. There are also way more deals available over here on the Coin Bureau website. If you go to the deals button, come down here, there's a ton of other exchanges, tools, wallets, all that good stuff to check out, including a course for 10% off of our course. A coupon for 10% off our course, 50 Minutes to Financial Freedom via the Better Traders. Now, moving back over here to the chart for BTC. The reason why I think it's more likely for BTC to head lower than for this to be a bottom is that if we just zoom out and we look at our previous bear market durations, if we go back here to 2017 December, we know that this previous bear market lasted exactly 52 weeks, a year, okay? The final last leg was the most brutal. Over here, November, then we finally bottomed out. So in 5 weeks, we saw the price of BTC fall from 6K, losing half of its value, down to $3,200. But it lasted a year. If we go over here to 2021's top in November, we know that it bottomed out in 2022 November. And what's more convincing is this right here. Actually, let me just hide this for a second. See this top in November 2021, and then we have a pivot high here in March. If we actually measure that out, we can see that it took 20 bars for the price to top out and then to hit this little pivot high moment, okay? What's really interesting is that we are very similar, not exactly the same. Charts rarely repeat, but they often rhyme, okay? So we have 14 bars from our high to our next pivot high. Our high in October, the week of the 6th, then our pivot high the week of the 12th of January, 2026. That was 14 bars. Now, what's interesting to note is that back over here, it took about 11 bars for BTC to finally capitulate. If we were to repeat the exact same thing, 11 bars means that we still have, that's 11 weeks, by the way, counting this week, we still have about 5 weeks left for BTC to possibly capitulate. But there is a chance that we do see some sort of a short-term bounce from here. One thing I want to also remind you of is that if we just measure out previous drawdown from previous bull markets, about 20K down to about 3K, that's 84% back in 2018. 2021 top to 2022 drop, that's about 77%. So maybe the next drawdown is going to be, let's see, let's get this right number right there, 126,200 down here to 60,000. Great. So we've just seen the bear markets dramatically decrease from 84% drawdown to 76 or 77% drawdown to just 52%. Awesome. Bear market's done, guys. Let's go. Right? Let's go. It's not happening. The thing that would make the most sense, 84.77 would be 70, which would be down here to $37,000 or so. I know I put out some really scary targets in the past that I'm sure a lot of you disagree with and you don't want to believe. It's fine. You do you, boo-boo. But I'm not really looking at buying BTC until we get closer to $40,000, if not $38,555, which is still another 43% lower. And if you feel like that's impossible, there's no way that could happen, man. Just keep in mind, back over here in 2022, in May, we saw BTC fall 45% over 3 weeks, okay? 45% over 3 weeks is no small move. Actually, if we were to call this a pivot high right here, right now, that's essentially this target right there at $38,555. That's a 45% drop. Again, markets don't necessarily repeat, but they often rhyme. You have to understand something, guys. There's still a very high possibility of us finally capitulating because, to be honest, this is the weakest capitulation bounce that I've ever seen. And going back to 2022, we saw multiple capitulation bounces. This is also something a lot of people don't want to believe or pay attention to. Over here, we had a capitulation dump on the week of the 9th of May, 2022. Price chopped for a while, and then we finally had another nasty capitulation dump on the week of the 13th of June, down 33% in a week. So yes, we could definitely see BTC drop another 45%. Now, let's talk about the war. There's a lot of uncertainty right now in regards to the US and Israel teaming up against Iran, and a lot of other nations are feeling really uncomfortable that there's a lot of missiles flying around and it's making a lot of people tense. Not only that, but the Strait of Hormuz is under a lot of stress right now because that is the central gateway that is allowing oil to move out of the Middle East and into places that need it a lot, like Japan, which is 90% of our supply is reliant on oil from the Middle East. Russia, not so much. They have their own stash, but China, India, and to just name a couple of major economies that are really reliant on oil from the Middle East. And now with all of this stuff going down, it's not really making me feel good about the world. I mean, if we just take a quick little look over here, just a quick little peek over at the price of, I don't know, let's say UK oil, which went exactly into my target zone up here at around 79.50 after seeing these crazy bullish breakout mode. Look at all this crazy stuff right here, pumping up 12% plus. Look at gold, starting to shoot up higher and higher. Look at the fact that we saw the S&P futures closing green. Yes, but this is bearish consolidation. This isn't good. So a lot of people are thinking, oh, Bitcoin pump, this is a good indication that we're going to see prices go up across the board. Well, maybe short term, but again, there's always a bigger fish, and that bigger fish is going to eat this small little fish, okay? You have to understand that the macro trend always wins. So the way I'm playing this right now is I'm pumping the brakes. If things happen to pump up higher, cool. I'm going to go ahead and watch and go like, wow, it's amazing. Good job, guys. You're doing a really good job. Wow, look at you. I'm just going to be sitting on my hands, doing a whole lot of nothing, watching the price go up while I'm expecting things to go down. And you can laugh at me, you can mock me as much as you want, but we've already seen this play out between November, December, and January. I'm not really changing my stance or my expectations about one final capitulating dump. And again, you can call me a bear all you want, but the reality is that I'm going to follow my trading plan from start to finish because that's exactly what's taught in the Better Traders Journal that's served me extremely well since 2019. So it's your bet. You can decide what you want to do, but the reality is that I still think things are going to be going lower. Now, I want you to watch this video. It's going to lay out why I think BTC is going to be dropping down to those targets that I shared before. Watch this, and until the next time, you know what to do. Stay awesome and stay in the green. Peace.